Hey, it's Jared. Today we're going to take a look at the AceMagic i7 mini PC and see if it is really high performance. Let's go ahead and turn it on and see how long it takes to power this guy up. Now, the reason I wanted to look at this is because it simply has two HDMI outputs on it. And dual HDMI means I'm going to be able to connect dual monitors to it easily. And it's already powered up and ready to go. So let's get logged in to Windows, and of course, all the time, let's finish setting up your PC. Here we are on our home screen already. I'm going to open up Geekbench and we're going to start a benchmark test because I've already ran these, but there were some software updates and I wanted to see if there's any changes to the performance because of the software updates. So while that's running, let's talk about the mini PC. Now, this is a little bit bigger of a mini PC than what I'm used to. I'm used to those little puck mini PCs, and I've reviewed several of those on this channel. Some of them AMD, some of them Intel, but this one stands up, and I thought, okay, it's going to tip over because HDMI cables, all sorts of cables, that didn't cause a problem. This is pretty stout, and it takes a bit of poor cable management for this thing to tip over. So on the back side, we've got two USB Type A's, two HDMI ports, a LAN port, power, and like a Kensington style lock, and of course a reset switch as well. On the front side, we have two more USB Type A's, a USB Type C, and an audio jack. And so it's got a good variety of ports on it for being a desktop PC, something that's going to give you a lot of connectivity. And then of course, I've got a couple of devices connected Bluetooth to it as well. The specs on this device are that it is an Intel Core i7 11800H series processor. So not the latest and greatest, but definitely decent as far as a CPU goes for a mini PC. It also has 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 solid state storage. So for the price, I feel like it has decent specs. But how does it perform? That is really what was important to me. I decided I wanted to try this out because I have a co-working desk that I utilize sometimes, and it has dual displays on it. And I didn't want to deal with complicated setups to try and get those dual displays connected to something that only has a single HDMI output, such as my laptop or many other small PCs that just have one HDMI output. So with the dual HDMI output, I was able to plug both of those in and have access to dual monitors and have a PC that I could just leave there all the time at my dedicated desk. And that means that I could show up and get to work whenever I need to and do most of my moderate day tasks on the mini PC and utilize my laptop when I need to do more heavy lifting tasks like video editing and photo editing. So that's why I was excited about this device. If I don't need to do any photo or video editing, I can leave my laptop behind and this is ready to go for me all the time. So we're still running that benchmark test and my experiences with this have been okay. It's not the fastest mini PC that I've looked at. Some of the other PCs with similar specs or maybe even lesser specs seemed to have better performance benchmarks when I initially tested, but obviously weren't able to run dual displays. And running dual displays is a little bit more taxing in and of itself. And being that a device like this is not going to have a dedicated graphics card and is going to utilize the on-chip graphics that are part of the Intel package, that means that it's going to put a little bit more stress on the device. And it does put a little bit more stress on the device. When I tried to do heavier lifting tasks like photo editing and even a little bit of light video editing, that's when I really saw this thing start to struggle. But it was capable. In Adobe Lightroom, I was able to edit some photos and export them. Yeah, it was a little slower and a little bit sluggish compared to what I'm used to, but that's something that you can expect from a mini PC that's also pushing two displays at the same time. When I tried video editing, I was able to edit video fine. Playback of the video was a little bit slow. Rendering was definitely pretty slow getting those files out of this device. And that's to be expected because this is not a performance machine for that type of workload. But everyday web browsing, especially if you're like me and you have multiple tabs opened and you use Google Chrome, which can be RAM hungry, it will eat up that 16 gigs of RAM pretty quickly, but it seems to do a pretty good job of managing what I'm doing. And as long as I don't have too many things going on at a time, it handles the way that I use the web, checking emails and all of that good stuff, utilizing Spotify. And it's just great to have that type of a setup at my desk desk so that I don't have to have my laptop out unless I need it for heavier lifting tasks, or even not even bring it at all, which is just a great option as well. So we're just about done with that CPU benchmark, and we'll see what we get as it brings the browser up and shows us our results. So 1970 and 8450 on the multi-core. Let's go ahead and get logged in to my Geekbench and look at results, because I want to see if this is consistent with the last run that I had. So this PC, it says default string. That's kind of weird. But down here is the performance score that I had before. I named it AceMagic PC. So my single core benchmark score last time was actually better, but my multi-score got a little bit better. You know, when you run these Geek benchmarks, there's margin of error between what might have been running in the background and stuff like that. So I feel like the multi-core is within margin of error, and maybe the single core is a little bit as well, but that's definitely a bigger discrepancy. But when we scroll down, and let's see if I could find, here's the trig key. That's another one that I ran in the past, which was much slower, as you can see. So this is more high performance than the trig key that I ran before. Let's see if we've got the Microsoft Surface Laptop Go 3, which is a brand new device, and this has a lot more performance than that. So 1104 is what I got on the Surface Go, 1970, and then we've got 4456, not quite double that, but almost double that on the multi-core score. So that's not bad as far as performance goes on the CPU. Let's go ahead and run that GPU benchmark while I talk about who a PC like this really is for. Now, this is probably not designed to be your main PC. If you are into tech and you want really good performance and stability, you're going to have something with better specs, probably some more storage, maybe even some more RAM, or even a higher end processor. Where a device like this shines is being your backup device, something that you can leave behind if you don't necessarily need a high performance machine because you have a laptop that has good performance. This is what can stay at your desk and is always running and might be connected to your local network and connected to your local storage. If you have some external hard drives and you want to be able to access those, this could be your device that's running at home and it's connected to those external storage devices in case you need to remote into it and get access to some of those files. You could also use something like this as a Plex server for media, and there's really endless ways that you can use a small PC like this that has relatively decent performance as a secondary device. Now, I would also see this as a perfect device for, let's say, my mom, for example. She needs a computer that she can browse the web, check email. It doesn't need a ton of performance, but I also don't want it to be so low end that it's frustrating and loads really slowly. As you saw, this PC started up really quickly and it has relatively decent specs. And so this would not be a frustrating device. Where I would use something like this, if not at the co-working desk, would be at home connected to my monitor behind me so that I can utilize the web and utilize Windows when I need to and not have to fire up my big PC that consumes more power and more wear and tear on that PC. I wouldn't have to fire that up unless I absolutely needed it for something like the Microsoft Flight Sim or some gaming or something like that. All right, so we have our OpenCL score of 7272. Let's go ahead and get a comparison. We'll get logged back into Geekbench and we will check our results. And so 7272, that's pretty consistent. 7147 is what I got before. If we look at the Microsoft Surface Laptop Go, though, this is significantly higher. I ran a couple there. I think one of these is plugged in and one of them is not. Then, of course, if we look at something like the Surface Laptop Studio 2, absolutely destroys it. This is where the trig key destroyed this. And so that's where the performance lacks in this device really is in the graphics performance. And that's what I experienced in using this as well. When I was connected to dual displays and I tried video editing, I tried photo editing, this struggled pretty bad. I had to disconnect one of the monitors so that it wasn't utilizing so much of that performance for running another display. And I had to lower the resolution so that I could get better performance out of photo and video editing. This does not have very good performance as far as that goes. I mean, as you can see, 7200 or so. is a lot lower than most other devices on here. Even smartphones have a lot better performance than that. If we look at the Surface Pro 9, the Surface Pro 9 has a lot better performance than it as well, about double the performance of this. And so that's where this device does not shine. This is not going to run games very well. It's not going to edit photo and video or really do any graphic intense tasks. It's basically a machine for web browsing and all that good stuff. So anyways, I don't really need to say anything more about it. I think you get the picture. It's a small, compact PC with dual HDMI ports and lots of other USB ports, and it has decent CPU performance, but it struggles big time with the graphics. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. There are different configurations of this device available, so make sure you check out the link in the description. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when I put out new ones. We'll see you back soon.